book exactly what they're doing. I mean, the information of what they're doing is out there.
Well,
it's just a matter, how do you take the message that healthcare really was good and compete against their message of it's not?
You can have the most outlandish messages and images and package, and you do all of them, but if you have an enlightened audience, they reject it. They see through it, and they think this is all campaign and propaganda.
Do they? Yeah, it is propaganda. It's propaganda, pure and simple, and propaganda is very effective.
Why the American people, or a lot of them, buy it?
I don't know.
Some of them don't.
Some of them don't.
Yeah.
I think that the
so
American
they hit something
public,
on the American people,
yes,
like racism,
and it's very blatant.
Yeah, like
it's out there.
Like the people are kind of, not enlightened in the sense they're not aware of a lot of issues. So you hit on people ignorance, not aware of some of the issues. So it will not work unless you have people who are ready to accept those messages.
Mm-hmm. One of the problems is the Republicans always say that they believe in competition, that free markets will work. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm here to tell you they do not believe in free markets. If you look at the Star Tribune, it's owned by a conglomerate. If you look at the Pioneer Press, it's owned by a conglomerate. If you look at the Duluth newspaper, it's owned by a company
on the national
in Fargo.
level.
They do not believe it. We used to have, it's still on the books, the antitrust, Sherman Antitrust Act, that we are not going to allow one media company to dominate the AM airwaves, the FM airwaves, the TV, and the newspapers. That's not being enforced. And if
it's even been changed. It has changed. I don't think it still stands.
The Sherman Antitrust?
I think they changed their interpretation of it. That as long the consumer benefit, I'm talking about the commercial. As long the consumer benefit, you can be as dominant as you want. As long the consumer not complaining or benefit. So you can have. When you look at every industry, they've got 2-3 players owning 80% of the market. So there's no monopoly on it. But I think my understanding, they changed their interpretation of it to the extent that as long the consumer not complaining and benefiting, you can have as monopoly as you want.
Well, that actually started changing during the Reagan administration through control of the Federal Communications Commission.
Yeah, FCC.
Because it's when a merger in the media is supposed to happen, the FCC is supposed to look, is this in the public's interest or isn't? And I can tell you that when you have an editorial or a newspaper in Duluth whose editorial is being influenced by a corporate ownership in North Dakota, that's not in the public's interest.
Well, corporate media is local and national too, and that's how that affects telling the stories.
Yes, because when you have it dominated by one company like Salem Communications or something like that in radio stations, there's only one side of the story getting out. There used to be something called the fairness doctrine, that if you had somebody coming in and giving this perspective, you had to have somebody else.
We should have one here.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'd be more than happy to have somebody from the Republican Party.
Even public television, you have this argument all the time with, you cannot be biased on your show because you have to be balanced. Yeah. My argument is I am the balance, because Arab and Muslim and progressive and all this, their view is been dismissed in the mainstream media.
Yes.
And our show is to balance that. I don't have to be balanced on every show. I can bring someone else from the Tea Party if they can, and have a show with them.
If they'd come.
If they come. I'll bring tea here if they come. But what I'm saying is, what is this, when you see the right-wing media, they don't even discuss this balance issue. You can have as many outrageous debate on Rush Limbaugh or Beck or all this radio talk show. But when it comes to progressive media, somehow they think they have to be balanced. They have to bring other views.
Well, when I'm on the radio, I'm the same as you on your TV show here. When I'm on the radio as a guest host, I'm not balanced at all, but I'm very clear
You're a
about
guest.
it. No, well, I'm a guest host.
Oh, a guest host.
Because
Okay.
when somebody goes on vacation
Oh,
or
I see.
takes the night
So
off on
you
the
run the
radio,
show?
Yes, I run the show.
So, and the management okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I'm being very clear and very upfront about it. My problem with some of these newscasters is that they're not being clear about where their allegiances or loyalties
I see.
lie. But I
So
also
it's
tell
an
people,
advocate
Yes.
program. It's different than,
Yeah.
news hour maybe. They think they have to be balanced.
those guys actually are.
Yeah, well, I mean, they try. But
they
the
do.
the right wing, the other, they don't have to be balanced.
No.
But let's go through the midterm election locally. What's going on? Why Minnesota voted for Michelle Bachmann again?
For the
With
life
all the things that she said and mentioned, and all this racist and a lot of things that's really is not Minnesota.
Yeah, and part of that is the wrong message that should have gone out, because the 6th district in Minnesota has the highest foreclosure rate in the district, and it has one of the highest unemployment. And instead of talking, everybody knows Michelle Bachmann doesn't tell the truth. I mean, it's no secret there. There's
She has to be telling something.
well, every time she says something outrageous, they check it and they find out that it's not true. So pointing out that she's not telling the truth, everybody knows that. What they should have been talking about is they should have had billboards up on Highway 10. Look to your right. Those houses that are foreclosed, Michelle Bachmann didn't do a thing. They should have had a billboard by a closed factory and
Well,
said,
they blame it
this
on-
factory closed, Michelle Bachmann didn't do a thing. I mean, because that's actually the truth. She didn't do the thing.
Well, and what that's her job to do this, or this is Obama's things or Democrats' things that they cause the policy cause all of this. How about the governmental? Is this going to linger like the senatorial recounts, and until Plenty can get what he wants in his agenda before he leaves?
I certainly hope not, but I think that if you look at state law, the Republican Party candidate, Tom Emmer, has the right under the law to challenge the election results once they're published, and it's called a contest. And if he does exercise his right under the law to challenge it, it will drag out. And
Did he yet?
Well, he hasn't. We haven't reached the stage in the process where he has to make that decision.
What's the difference now?
Right now, they just have to go through and make sure that the election results that they have are accurate.
And if it's a different, 10,000 or?
Last I heard, it was 8,857.
So what's the cutoff for him to automatically to be a recount? Like 7,000? Not sure.
No, it is an automatic recount now. It is going to be an automatic recount.
So, it's going to drag then.
Hopefully, they're planning on having this done in mid-December, that the recount will be done in mid-December, if everything goes swiftly and...
No contest, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we don't drag this show to December. Thank you so much for coming. Great to have you. Well, Tommy is his blog, and he's active in a committee here, and he's glad to have him in and have a view. And if any Tea Party or Republicans opposing view here, we're welcome to come on show. Well, we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all.
لو جيت في يوم ارسمك ارسم امل بسام